6 minutes. That can be the difference between life and death. And in a medical emergency, every second counts. As our city grows and the population ages, there's a growing service gap in Central and North Westminster. 911 calls have doubled in the past 20 years, and now paramedics may not be able to reach residents within 6 minutes, the amount of time before brain damage can set in without oxygen. Meanwhile, our neighborhood streets are paying the price for the skyrocketing costs of asphalt and concrete. We simply can't afford to maintain our neighborhood roads to the standard Westminster deserves. Together, we can solve both of these challenges. Last year, a ballot measure to fund emergency services fell short. So the city went back to the drawing board. We tightened our belts, cut costs, and looked within our existing resources. But the reality is, it's not enough. And we need your support to close the gap by raising new revenue to build a safer, stronger Westminster. Join us for a town hall on July 24th. Let's talk about our streets, emergency response, and how we move forward together.
Well, welcome to tonight's meeting.
6 minutes.
It is going to be all about Historic Westminster. We have what's new and supporting what's next. Stephanie Trawler, our Economic Development Manager, will be talking about the 73L, the BARC, and the business support. Great Spaces for All Generations. Eric Oxelberger will talk about, who is our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. He'll talk about England Park Corridor, the MAC, Swim and Fit, and park improvements in that area, and essential construction, lasting impact. Paul Knippel, Director of Public Works and Utilities, will talk about the Municipal Courthouse and other infrastructure improvements. So, Stephanie, take it away.
Oh, right up. I think Jody.
I'm going to jump in first. The mayor just covered the agenda for us. Of course, Mayor McNally, who's been working with the community for many years, and many of those committed, all of those committed to Historic Westminster. This table is an overview. This is my only slide tonight, so I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie after this. You'll see this table is called or titled "Finally" with an exclamation mark, and I want to emphasize that tonight we're going to walk through some of the key actions that the city is taking. One of the things, I've been with the city for almost 12 years now, and the most consistent theme that I've heard as city manager, formerly deputy city manager, is we are so tired of the planning and studying and surveying going on in Historic Westminster. Can the city finally take action? And so tonight is about the city finally taking action. And I can tell you in a recap, this is not an all-inclusive table, but what we're going to run through tonight is over $81 million in investment in Historic Westminster, much of it underway today. You will start to see some progress, very visible in some key areas. Stephanie, Eric, and Paul are going to describe some of those for us tonight. Oops. Now, Stephanie.
Can you guys hear me without? Oh, now you can hear me. Stephanie Trawler, I am the Economic Development Manager. I've been working for the city and specifically in Historic Westminster for almost 9 years, if you can believe that. I see a lot of familiar faces, so it's good to see you all. Wanted to talk first about 73rd and Lowell, or 73L event space. You can't, hello? Can you hear me now? All right. It's very rare that people say that they can't hear me, so thank you for the feedback. So like I said, wanted to start out with 73rd and Lowell, or affectionately now being known as 73L. This is a property that the city owns that has been not pretty, right? It's been kind of a dilapidated property. There was an abandoned theater gas station for a while, then there was a fence up for a while, and now we are working with a group of invested business owners and residents to turn it into a community event space. The city bought the property with Community Development Block Grant Funds, or CDBG funds. So it's a federalized property, which means we can't just do whatever we want to with it. We have to meet a HUD national objective, which I won't bore you all with that. But we feel in working with the community and listening to their feedback that turning the space into a community event space meets all the objectives with HUD and the objectives of the city. So we are currently working right now to get the site electrified, some irrigation on the site, putting up some fencing, and really what we want to do is have events there. I mean, that's what we want. I see Caitlin there. We're working on one of the examples that we are working towards is doing, her business is called Banana Goat Apothecary. And so we're going to do goat yoga, and have her have a booth there. So those are the types of events. We really want them to be community driven. Like I said, we're investing some money right now to get the place even gussied up even better. And really what we want and envisioned with the community is to grow the space with the neighborhood. So we're going to change when you guys change. We're going to take the direction from the community. We meet on a monthly basis or as needed to listen to feedback, and we've heard several emails about turning the south lot into parking, and we're taking that very seriously, and we've already started to consider that into the budget. We had our first successful event there last fall, Jazz Under the Stars. I think a lot of you attended it. It was great. Counselors were dancing. It was a fun event. We are planning on something this fall. We ran into a little snag with Excel on getting the site electrified. So we will get you the date for Salsa Under the Stars later this fall, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Another project is the building known as the Rodeo Market. Just last night, council passed a contract and a supplemental budget approval to work with a restaurant called The Bark. Ed Knudsen is sitting here, right? If you could just say hi. So Ed is the owner of The Bark. And this has been a labor of love. This is, a city-owned property. Again, we have not been good landlords. We have let the building sit for far too long. We have let the building deteriorate. And while the bricks, it's a solid building, there really hasn't been any investment into the building since it was built in the 1950s. Trivia question, does anybody know what it was originally built for? A roller rink. Yeah, before it was Valenti's, it was built to be a roller rink, and Mr. Barnes couldn't make that successful, so he sold it to Mr. Fred Valenti, and they turned it into the city's first supermarket. And it operated that way till the mid-'70s, then it was an office space, and then the city bought it really with the hopes to generate some interest around the arts. It didn't really come to fruition. It sat empty since then. So the systems, the HVAC, the toilets, the fire suppression, all of that needs to be updated since the 1950s. So it is not inhabitable right now. So majority of the investment that is going into this property right now is to bring our building into a place where it's safe for people to habitate and to actually enjoy the building. We know that this is a valuable historic asset. You talk to people, they're like, oh, I remember going to the grocery store with my grandma. How many of you folks have those stories in this room? I'm sure there's probably more than one. We value that history, and we really want to return it into an active use. And it's exciting, and we have a kind of a unicorn partner who is also going to share the cost with us, and which is great. The city is working with the city, and a private is sometimes a little bit of a rough fit. And Ed has been very patient, and he's excited, and he's also a Westminster native and was the homecoming king and stopped right in front of. He hates it when I tell that story. Hates when I tell that story, but I'm going to do it anyway. So very, very exciting. We are going through the final state planning stages of it right now. We're getting through the ODP and the plan set. We're hoping to break ground later this year and start the renovations. And hopefully we can all have a nice beer rock, which is the specialty on the menu, and a cold beverage later in 2026. And you could see some of the, what the plans are right now. And I just got the Shepherd Hook warding, so I wanted to give a shout out to some of the businesses. We have some great destination businesses. Go to Pocketary, Valenti's, or Gallery. There's a wonderful, wonderful, very unique, very historic Westminster businesses there. And the city tries to support all of our licensed businesses through a variety of grants and resources. They're all right there. I know the businesses know about them, but we do work on technical assistance, providing grants, and there's a very specific one that is just available for Historic Westminster, which is the facade grant. We try to communicate what you guys need to know, and again, our team is here and available to help with any sort of liaison issue you have with the city. And with that, I'm going to look at Andy and turn it over to Eric.
Nicely done. Hi, I'm Eric Otzelberger, the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director. See many familiar faces in the crowd, and I know there's a lot of passion for Historic Westminster, and I'm proud to say I'm fortunate to work with a group of people in Parks, Recreation, Libraries that care very deeply about what they do, whether it's on the Parks, Recreation, or Libraries side of the house, and I'm thrilled to share with you the $15.5 million that we are investing, have invested in Historic Westminster. And with that, I'd like to talk about Swim and Fitness Center. So this is the OG, the original recreation facility in the city. 50 years of age, underwent a $6 million renovation. It was a tremendously challenging project. Anyone that's been in Swim and Fit understands it has multiple levels. And, the goal was to create a modern, accessible facility that could really chart the course for the next 50 years. And if you've been in, you've seen the wonderful work that's been done in there, bright new entryways, new community rooms, the weight and cardio area redone. Just tremendous work. Our partners at Adams County helped us with this project with a $1 million grant. And last year, we see increased visitation, just this vital hub of community activity, whether it's recreation, programmings, classes. And last year, the Colorado Park and Recreation Association gave this project the Columbine Award, which is the top project in the state in its class, because it's really a tremendous outcome. So our overarching goal that we heard from you as the community, as a Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department, is take care of what we have, reinvest in what we have. Swim and Fit is a big part of that. Next slide, please. So not to be outdone, just down the street, the MAC, we've invested over $1 million recently in the MAC. Is anyone know what the MAC stands for? Charlie is correct. Mature Adult Center. So this was years ago. It's like, we can't call it a senior center, but really in Historic Westminster with our centers, we're trying to create a richness for all ages and something that's accessible for everyone. And the MAC is a good practical example. We invested in it. Now we have a dedicated preschool room. We're partnering with the state of Colorado with a universal pre-K program, so we're enhancing our preschool programs throughout the city, and did a new outside playground. So just wonderful, and we see enhanced enrollment there for preschool. Pickleball is kind of a thing. It's kind of popular. The MAC is now the home of the city's first purpose-built indoor pickleball courts. We have a lot of indoor pickleball that happens at Westview and City Park, but these are the first dedicated 3 courts, so that's super exciting. New studios and classroom space. We've seen significant increase in Taekwondo and youth, teen programming there. So it's really encouraging. The billiards area where we have a wonderful group of people that socialize and use that. Really all ages. The MAC is really transforming into a all ages facility. New paint, new walking track, exciting stuff. And for the record, we have a little framing project going on. My office is going to be at the MAC, so if you want to come visit and give me the business, you know where to find me soon. England Park. So this is something to be on the lookout for the horizon. We are going to be embarking on phase 1 of this project. So England Park as a whole, and some of you may have been involved. There was a master planning effort that started in 2017, and as Jody alluded to, sometimes we're guilty in government of planning ad nauseum. But our team, our small but mighty planning and design team, wrapped up recently a community engagement process to finalize a master plan. Phase 1, in the next slide, I'll show you what the area where it's going to make some improvements. But we're, with an eye on action, we're finalizing construction drawings, and we'll be putting that out to bid later this year. We expect to, hopefully that goes well, and you should see some construction early next year. So next slide, please. This is a small map, and I don't know if they call that a parallelogram or trapezoid. But where you'll see improvements, so with Bradburn and 72nd, you'll see improvements, community garden, parking lot, really enhancing some of that community garden. You'll see some improvements, setting the table for our partners at the Mile High Flood District, along the Little Dry Creek corridor. And then 72nd and Raleigh, in that area, you'll see some playground, active space, and then adjacent to the Bowles House, you'll see some passive items in addition to some picnic areas, and just trying to play off of the wonderful amenity we have with our partners with the Westminster Historical Society, with the Bowles House. So yeah, the area, and then you can, this is all online with the city's page. You can see the vision, and once again, community-led, community-driven master plan. Other things hopefully to come in future phases, but this you should see under construction starting next year. So that's very exciting. And then a couple odds and ends, but very important investments in Historic Westminster. The Irving Street Playground, I appreciate the patience. Poured in place playground surfacing. There aren't too many vendors in the state that do that, and we've broken a log jam on that. So the Irving Street Playground, the reimagined playground, should be complete in September and available for use. Outdoor pickleball courts. So we have our 12 outdoor courts that are seeing significant use at the Municipal Court facility. Bishop Square Park renovations. So I'm pleased to report our partners at Adams County awarded us a $1.5 million grant that will help fund full replacements of the tennis courts, playground, vegetation, circulation there. So that's a very exciting project that should be on the horizon, and you should see under construction next year. In the southeastern corner of the city, Orchard Park, investing in some enhanced irrigation there. And at Wolf Run and Westminster Hills, we're going to give the courts a little love, both the tennis courts and the basketball courts. The Wolf Run basketball court's already been resurfaced and repainting, but trying to reinvest to get a few more years of life out of that. So like I said, I mean, we're existing future investments about $15.5 million, and we're continuing, like I said, with that drive to really reinvest and take care of what we have, and try to leverage grant opportunities with our partners to make good things happen. And with that, we are the Department of Fun, but basic infrastructure is pretty important. So I'll pass it to my colleague, Public Works and Utilities Director Paul Knippel.
Thank you, Eric. So much of what Eric and Stephanie described is above ground. The things I've got here are really at ground or below ground. You may not be able to see them, but they're certainly supportive of any of the projects that Stephanie and Eric described. These are major reinvestments into the area to continue with the infill development and redevelopment. So I've got 7 slides here in 6 items that I'd like to point out. The Municipal Courthouse, there's been a lot of discussion about that. That construction on that will start, I'm told, next week. This is about a 2-year period for this project. Represents just under $43 million of investment in Historic Westminster. It'll combine the new courthouse with a pad site for community reach as well adjacent. Our city's project is not building the building for community reach. It's just preparing the site to complement and coexist with the courthouse building. There'll be some park space available there as well. While this is under construction, the existing courthouse will remain in use. And then this municipal courthouse, the new one, will go behind it. A lot of good things in it, a lot of good energy efficiency built. We feel like we had really good community engagement along the way with this project. If you're really interested in more, there's some good renderings and timelines and description there at westminsterco.gov municipal court project. So I'd encourage you to go to that website and really see a little bit more. This will be a fantastic addition there to the corner of 76th and Turnpike there. Another big, and here the next two slides are really water and sewer infrastructure. So Lowell Boulevard from 72nd down to 80th, it's a very old ductile iron and pipe that's experienced a number of breaks over the years, and when it does, it's very disruptive to the traffic flow on Lowell as well as to the residents who are relying on that water. This project the design is starting here this month, and we estimate it'll be about 15 months of design, and then we'll start the construction project on this. So this one is underway now. Another one that's on the wastewater side is our Little Dry Creek Interceptor Sewer. This is just downstream of the England Park work that Eric described. We'll start the design work on this fall and then move into construction immediately thereafter. Both of these projects, the Lowell water line and then this sewer line, will take about 2 years to finish once we start the construction on them. This will be it's a 24-inch pipeline now. We'll upgrade it to a 36-inch pipeline. Anything south of 92nd Street, for the most part, drains into this interceptor sewer. So this will support infill and redevelopment with Westminster Station, North Glen, Uplands, and will just provide service to Westminster for decades to come. Quiet zones. So the quiet zones are places where you have a street crossing a railroad track at grade. And when that happens, in the absence of a quiet zone, the railroad will need to sound the horns on the trains coming through. And so we've got 9 such crossings in the city of Westminster. We've completed two intersections to outfit them to be a quiet zone. This project here will outfit 3 additional, and then that'll leave us 4 more to go in the northern part of the city. So what these projects consist of is that there's 2 parts to it, really 3. One is a lengthy coordination process with the railroad itself to get approval to do these. And then the second is that the city needs to build concrete infrastructure on each of these locations. That work is starting this summer, that concrete work. And then when that's complete, the railroad will then come in and put in their equipment, and then these intersections will go silent to train horns outside of an emergency situation. So what the concrete work is designed to do is really prevent anybody, once the crossing gates come down, that nobody can turn around in the intersection. So this work is underway. Undergrounding of XL power lines is another project that we have here. We've got 2 of them, two locations here. One in red is on West 72nd between Stewart and Sheridan, and then and that is going to start and end this winter. The second is 69th from Elk to Lowell. And it doesn't show up here as well, but both of these are a go. These will take the XL distribution lines that are currently overhead and place them underground. It doesn't necessarily take care of the service lines into the private buildings, but it does make it possible for that to happen. But just by taking those overhead distribution lines down, underground will be a significant improvement in historic Westminster. And then I think the last one here, as Jody described earlier, we've studied a lot of things, and but now we're moving into action on the 72nd Avenue corridor upgrades between Pierce and Zuni, basically city limit to city limit, for safety reasons, for walkability, for aesthetics, traffic movement. And we're going into the design phase and then seeking grant funding to help with this. So we are out of, there's no more studying going on. We're moving into the action phase on this corridor. It's going to take some time for this to develop. We want to allow ourselves the ability to go and get outside funding for it, and then do the design work and have a construction project. So that's 6 big infrastructure items down in historic Westminster that we are positively moving forward with, that represent a fairly significant investment in that area of town. So.
Excellent news. We just want to be sure to invite you. You saw, if you were here for the promo for our paramedics and pavements, we do have a town hall next Thursday, 5 to 8. From 5 to 6, we have all of the fun toys to play with and kids, and we will have a facility for the kids to be taken care of while you come to the town hall. The town hall will start at 6. So if you don't have little ones or grandchildren and don't want to come that early, just be there by 6. That's when we'll start. But come a little early because the Kona ice is going to be there, and they're good. And you'll want one of those to have as we work on talking about the needs for the paramedics and pavement and the bond issue or the ballot issue that we're looking at possibly putting on in August, and what all that will entail. So we don't get everything, and you'll learn that with what we're proposing. Last year, they just asked for a straight $100 million, and you said no, and it was for a 0.5. We are looking at a 0.4. City manager has done an outstanding job of looking at every rock, turning every rock, and found 2 places where we can use one-time money, which I always advocate. One-time money should never go for ongoing. The state could learn that because of their mess right now, but one-time money goes for one-time costs, and he has done that so we can build one of the fire stations at 144th area and the fire and training center in the center of town. And what that does for us is, right now, it's hard to get the people we need to get trained into somebody else's training because they're full. If we have a training center, we can send our people, and if there's extra spaces, we can take in extras and make some money doing that. So it will be a win-win, and they desperately need that. And so those are the 2 things that our city manager has looked at, came to us and said, here's what we can do. If this is agreeable with you, we can take those off of the plate. And we said, we know we have a gap with pavement, and so we're putting $2 million into that gap so that our roads can stay in at least the good condition, if not better. So please come next Thursday, 6 to 8, or 5 to 8, 6 to 8 will, or yeah, 6 to 8 will be the actual town hall where we need your input. Now it's time for your questions. Yes, ma'am.
The water improvements. Now, I know we're tearing up the lawn here to put in xeric plantings, but the reality is this is recycled water that we're using at the municipal building. Are the plans for the water extension into South Westminster, is that to do water recycling, or is that just typical non-sustainable blah, blah, blah?
Yes, when we talk about water, there's water supply, and then there's also the water distribution, treatment and distribution. And so both of those are infrastructure pieces. And when we get into reclaimed water or reused water, that's a kind of a supply thing as well. The project here is about the infrastructure piece. So we have a pipeline that's part of our distribution network that is failing. And is going to continue to do so and needs to be replaced. And so that's the purpose of that project. The city is aging, and things are going to continue to need to be replaced, whether it's pavement or water or sewer infrastructure. And this is just an example and the highest priority we have on our distribution system. So it's an existing pipe. It's not part of the reclaim system. It's for potable water. And it's just in bad shape, and it's the highest on the list really that needs to be replaced.
I'm concerned that we're not progressing with our projects. We're kind of just patching, expensive patching versus looking to the future for sustainable ways of doing things. That's what I'm concerned about. It really would have been nice to incorporate reclaimed water down in this other part of the city and not just have it end here at 92nd. And if money's being spent and plans are being made, it's like those are the plans that we should be making and the money that we should be spending, in my opinion.
Yes, and this is, we're not replacing the entire network of pipes. We're replacing the pieces that are broken right now. On the reclaim side, that is its own distribution system. And so to expand that to exactly mirror what we have on the potable water side, we would be doubling the size of our water infrastructure out there. And furthermore, we have a limited supply of reuse water that's available to be used, and we're really close to having maxed that out now as it is. So anything that we have that's available to be used as reuse water, we're not utilizing all of it yet, but we're getting close to that point. And I'd be happy to share with you a separate project that we're doing to expand that to further maximize the use of that reclaimed water, and that we're doing in-house. And I'd like to show that to you.
And for the audience that may not be familiar with it, the City of Westminster operates its own wastewater treatment facility. At that facility, we reclaim the water. So in other words, the effluent is treated effectively to drinking water quality standards, and we use that to replace drinking water consumption in the City of Westminster by distributing it for irrigation purposes. And what Mr. Knippel is describing is that we're fully subscribed with every ounce of that treated effluent for irrigation in the city. So we can't push it any further because there isn't any more to push. It's limited by how much sewer is produced in the city. But I don't know that everybody realizes that the City of Westminster treats every ounce of its wastewater and turns it into reclaimed water for irrigation purposes. That's alleviated over the decades a big demand on raw water and treated drinking water. So that move itself sets Westminster really aside from a lot of other communities because we're using our treated effluent for irrigation, not treated drinking water.
Another question?
Is there any discussion on the parking on 73rd Avenue by the Rodeo Market building? That's always been a big discussion because there's very little parking that the business owner, property owner, that's a concern.
I hear you, Larry. I know it is, and this is actually coming up on the 73L conversations as well. We get it. Unfortunately, I don't have a wand that I could just create more parking on the street. So how we're approaching it is thank you. That was very slippery. We're taking a phased approach. So we did in 2019, just pre-COVID, we did a parking study. We feel with the parking use that the BARC will create, there should be enough parking on street, kind of 73rd, Osceola, and Orchard. We are going to create 3-hour parking and start striping it to start with. We are also considering looking at the lot south of the Penguin Building. This is coming up through 73rd to provide some additional parking. We have some options too, where we've talked to the church, the Presbyterian Church. There were some safety concerns there. We've talked to the fire station, also some concerns there, we get it. But the Valentis have offered up their parking spot after 5 o'clock to help with the pressure that this could potentially create. But I honestly, personal opinion, having a parking problem is a sign of success, right? I would love to have everybody fighting to get into parallel parking on the street. That means that people are coming to your businesses and they want to come to your businesses.
And that's great. However, the property that my family owns, it's residential, it's apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, it's great to have parking on the street, but to take that parking spot from the residents of the apartments.
We will be working with you
Has there been discussion on that empty lot south of the railroad tracks?
Some, yes. And for your own kind of peace of mind on the apartment, we will be signing it too, so we could put up some residential only parking. But right now we are not leaving any stone unturned. We really want to see what the real parking demand is. The hope is a lot of the folks going to support the park and the businesses are residents, and we hope that they walk and enjoy all the beauty that's there as well. But we are taking it very seriously. We're not leaving any stone unturned. We really just want to be prudent and see what the actual demand is going to be before we spend money and invest in buying property or whatever.
Back to people's minds.
Yeah.
And for my business, I have very few community people coming to my business. My people come to my business are from Aurora, so when they drive in and there's no place to park, they're like, wow, it's a busy street, but we have no place to park. So as long as we're thinking about it, trying to figure out what we need to do.
It's at the top, I think, of everybody's minds. And it's not, like I said, I wish I had the easy button on that one. That would be great, but this is not an easy button solution. But we are actively working on it and brainstorming and talking to other businesses. And maybe the post office could chip in with some parking spots as well.
Looked into the dentist office that's over there too?
We have, when we did look at it, we evaluated it. I think they have 12 spots.
It's not big.
Yeah, and so we didn't, it could help. It could all help. But we didn't consider that as one of the top choices because the availability of the spaces.
On weekends they let us use it.
Landgraf too, right? So
Landgraf doesn't let us use their parking lot.
And the church has been really great too. So if there is a big event, they're a great partner. And so I think it's going to be a continued conversation for sure. But absolutely, it's at the top of everybody's minds.
What's the safety concern with the church? Because to me, that seems like the most obvious. I mean, just putting in more parking lots doesn't make an old town or a historic town more interesting. It just turns it into
more parking, sure. So we had a conversation with the church just to kind of explore this potential, and they had representatives from, they have a lot of tenants, and one of them is they have the B'nai Torah synagogue that they lease space to on Friday and Saturdays. And that specific synagogue was on a terrorist attack list out of Boulder, and they practice and worship on Fridays. And so what they do to make their congregation feel safe is that the rabbi and a security guard greet everybody, and while they're downstairs practicing their religion, the security guard actually does sweeps of the parking lot to make sure that they're familiar with the cars. So Friday night, which is probably where most people go out and to have a restaurant, there would be an influx of unfamiliar cars, and it was just very uncomfortable. So we didn't feel that it was appropriate to push that conversation with their tenants, and we want to be respectful of, their legitimate fears. They were on a targeted terrorist attack, so that was the safety concern. Additionally, they have a Head Start program there as well, so you have kids running around. Like I said, they are a great partner. They really do. They understand it. I think the majority of the folks at the Presbyterian Church are excited to have the BARC come to the neighborhood. It was really their tenants had some safety concerns because of the terrorists.
Other questions? Just raise your hand. Judge, I want to say we missed you at the groundbreaking for the courthouse, but I'm glad to see you tonight.
Thank you. Out of town.
I heard that, so we did an extra shovel just for you. Other questions?
We've got one over there.
Yes.
I'll double back on your $100 million that you're needing for. Is it going to be for a first responder or building new fire, or is it going to be general fund that you're trying to go after? It's going to be a big thing for the public because it's general fund. They're probably going to turn it down. They want specifics.
Well, we gave them that choice in a poll, and they did not want to have bonds that just go for construction and then go away. They only had like 7%. It was a very low number. And then we'd only need, I think, 2-something% for sales tax. They said sales tax because, and some of the open conversation that they shared was because everybody pays that then. It isn't just a homeowner. And they think their property taxes are too high. And I remind people, and we will continue to share, we shared at one of these, my home property tax, and it's $2,200, $108. $108 for the year goes to the city for everything because we are a full run city. We have police, we have fire, we have parks and rec. And when people say, well, you've got to cut something. Well, we could have parks and rec could be a special district. They have that in Arvada. You pay around $243 a year for just having parks and rec. So 108 seems pretty darn good. And we tried to go for that, and folks said no. So we're going for
The option out there for the sales tax.
We're going for the sales tax. Sales tax.
What are you going on?
Pardon?
What are they looking for? 2 cents a penny? What are they looking for?
Go ahead.
Great questions. What we're please do come if you can to the July 24th open house and workshop, because this is exactly what we're going to talk through, and we'll have small breakout groups and such. Just to repeat, we polled recently our community, and we polled on a property tax option. What would people feel if we put out bonds and paid for our fire station and streets needs that way, and what would it look like if we did sales tax? And the mayor said correctly that on the property tax question, only 7% supported a property tax lift for us, even though we have one of the lowest property tax rates as a city in the United States of America. However, they did strongly support, 66% supported a sales tax increase. As the mayor described earlier, since the last ballot measure last November was defeated, we went back and talked to a lot of people in our community and found out why that was. And one of the reasons was, has the city tightened its belt? Has the city done everything it can do with the resources it already has been entrusted with? And the answer to that was not quite. And so we've gone back to the drawing board, and we've found different funding sources that don't hit the taxpayer for some of those capital needs for fire. And that's the basis of going to a town hall on the 24th, is to show people that. The short answer to your question is we are now looking at less of a rate than we took to ballot last November. That's a 0.4% sales tax increase that will ask so this is not, the city won't push this. We're going to put it to a ballot and let our community tell us whether that's acceptable. Included in that, which is different than last time, is $2 million a year comes out of that 0.4% to start to fund our streets deficit for our local neighborhood streets. Paul and his team has had a very difficult challenge over the last couple of years, and rightly so, took the precious resources that we have and kept our arterial and collector streets in good shape. We do well on those. but something had to give, and it was our neighborhood street. So all the streets that we live on, our homes, you've probably all seen it. Mine's not great, and so that's where we're going to go back to the community and say, here's everything we've done to tighten our belt and find other ways to fund it. Streets funding is included in that 0.4. It was not included last time we balloted in November. It was 0.5% and did not include any money for streets. So we've double tightened and gone back and said that's our thinking. But we are going to have the community decide on that. This is not the city pushing this tax increase. We'll put it out there, we'll inform, we'll engage, and we'll let our community decide this year what they think about the different approach.
City manager knows that we had 2A when I was here the first time back in 2003, or was it 5? It was back in the day that we had a 2A, and it passed. It was for police and fire. So as we're looking at this, I have said to him for the last month, I need to know if 2A still is in our budget and it wasn't just absorbed. And so we had the assistant city manager come in, and in the budget, he could show you the people that are hired with 2A money, and it was for everything. It was for extra personnel. As you get to a certain amount, you need clerical, you need other things, you need uniforms, you need the safety gear, you need the trucks, you need the ambulances. He can show you everything that's been purchased with that money. This money, the council has already asked, will be tagged in the same way. It's not. I've been on some committees with the state, and some of those things just get generalized into the budget, and that's the reason you don't see things anymore. I have made sure, and they have confirmed, that if you want to see the books and see who's being paid for out of that, they have it. And I've been told it's a pain to do it. It's just a pain. That they were excited that somebody asked, because they've been doing this as a pain, and somebody actually asked, are we really doing that? So we are, and I think that is critical for you to know. This isn't just another thing that it's easy to do. It's because of just our configuration, the amount of people we have, what we need, and what we voted on in early 2000s is going for exactly what you said to pay for then, and this will be the same. Yes, sir.
A recommendation, not a recommendation, a request. We would love for the City of Westminster to continue to work with Westminster Public School students as it relates to all these projects and infrastructure needs that are going to happen on the south end. These are great learning opportunities for work-based learning, internships, and the city does a great job already. Martha's been nothing but amazing at who we work with. But when we think of this horizontal construction, this doesn't happen in a classroom right now. And so for students to see how this works and how this functions, from everything with pipes to the asphalt, et cetera, I just want to make sure that the city is thinking and forward thinking in that direction of getting the youth engaged, because it'll be instrumental for their development later on. So that's my one comment.
And at the random school.
Well, we can do it at the random.
No, I'm just saying, do you have people, the kids, do they have those, those programs where this would fit?
So we do. We have a number of programs, from everything from England Park for horticulture and landscape technologies to construction engineering. The one thing we're lacking in construction is that horizontal piece. We work with Brandon, who want to come out and bring heavy equipment and have lab space along those lines. But if you're already going to tear up our streets, let's get the students there so that they can be part of the conversation, but at least just engaged in it. And that's just that experience that's more rich than what we get.
Oh, I'll be at Rotary in the morning, if you will too, and we can connect and exchange some names. We'd love to do that.
And Chris, also, I like name dropping, Chris for the 72nd revitalization, he's been engaging our students, and that to them has been extremely important to be valued in that process, because at the end of the day, all of us are going to be older and watching this whole process. These kids are going to be living as adults, and so it'll be neat for them to be engaged in it from the beginning.
Be sure to give him all the names and numbers he needs. And I was impressed with our yappers this year. That's our youth advisory panel. They really had some input when we were looking at some of the different things for Parks and Rec. They had input, but they really had input with their bus stop. They would have to sit, I forget on what.
A transformer.
And all of that. Anyway, they learned how it all worked, and they got a new stop. So, thanks. I think we had somebody down here. Yes.
I'm going to take us back to 2006 to the minutes of the meeting on December 4th. And I know I'm picking, so hopefully it doesn't stop. The flow is consistent. Here are some recommendations for the rodeo. To be a small art facility emphasizing visual arts, but possibly also accommodating music classes and other type of cultural things. Small art gallery with a cafe, small art studios, and they talk, if you go through this whole thing, they talk a lot about having classes for the local schools and all this sort of stuff. On the next page it says, it is very, very small. Care should be taken not to try to do all things to all people, but to find appropriate things for the space, configuration, and location. The project should be diverse and flexible. Art instructions and art businesses. Concept seems to be good. Based on its location, a low street and residential area. Facilities are small. Programming should not attempt to make 73rd a regional thing. So how did we go from an art class to roof up?
Oh, and let me just share, back when we had different people in community development, and the arts people down in that area wanted to have an art district, and there were certain things they had to go through. Now they're called creative districts. But at one point, it was looked at for being a performance area for a stage and having people, because you know that at 73L, there used to be a gas station where we had performances and stuff. So that was all talked about. Some talk even happened without the Grange, that they connect the Grange and the rodeo for having performances and using the Grange for other things. All of that was wonderful thoughts, and we had tried some of the arts pieces. They just didn't go. And so what we have done recently, and I'll let Stephanie talk about it, they have talked to the people down there, and
So we actually did, before we leased the property to South Westminster Arts Guild, SWAG, and that operated. It was before my time, so I'm a little fuzzy on some of the details. Maybe Eric or somebody else. It didn't generate the excitement that we had hoped it would, and the group really, and I'll look to some of the folks here in the community who know that it actually kind of created a weird dynamic amongst the community as well, and so they kind of folded, and so we, when we started this whole thing, I went out. There was the council at the time when I first started this project said we want a chef-driven restaurants. Okay, I got that. So we went out. We got the first project that kind of failed in COVID. And it was very disappointing. I put a lot of effort in it. My feelings were hurt. And so Jody said, go back and interview and reach out with the community. I'm like, I don't want to do it again. I don't have the energy to do it again. But you know what? We did it. We went out and we talked to several community members. We surveyed it, and 86% said that they did want, indeed, a restaurant, a community gathering space. I will say, though, the arts, something to do with the arts was a strong second, and I think there's a lot of nods that we're going to continue to try to drive arts in the area as well. The sculpture garden, which I think Eric can probably talk to a little bit more than I can, and we're seeing arts kind of just organically come up. You see the murals in the TOD, you see it coming kind of organically. There's several businesses, artistic businesses that are there. We still have the recording studio. We still have 2 recording studios in the red and white building, and again in Colorado's just down the road in TOD. But the arts is still very much there. There's still active groups, 73L, that we're going to engage with the local artists as well. So it's not lost. It just sort of evolved, and we gave it a good try a few years ago, and it didn't really come to fruition. So it evolved.
And with the art district that is now called Creative District, if a city goes for that, and I learned this at a CML workshop, when they said it includes like jewelry, food, and he's reading his email or something. The first thing that popped into my head was Hidden Lake, and they have a cafeteria area there. You have the culinary piece, and it's perfect fit for 73rd, and made me want to, and I haven't had time to talk to Jody about it, but I really wish that area would look at what Creative District now means and how you get it, because it's even more expansive. And with Eric Trujillo down there with Mi Vida, and what he does, if you have never been in his shop at 72nd and Mead, I'm telling you, he's on the south side. What he does is artwork with violins, cellos, basses. He puts an 1870s back on something just as it was. He has these templates. I could sit in there day in and day out and watch him, and I just hope somebody is mentoring him, because he has a lost art down there, and it's wonderful. And I always tell the story because he shared it with me. The Marshall Fire, as devastating as it was, a family had just brought in their 18-something family violin, and having him restore it, that is the only thing they have left. So.
Good.
Oh, we've got Mr. Fenimore.
Mr. Fenimore?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of things is the whole town is when they did a revitalization down there years back, they took and narrowed the streets and widened the sidewalks with brick pavers. So now then, if you're ever down there and there's cars parked on both sides of the street, especially larger vehicles, and you got the fire trucks running down there to go north to Lowell, it's very tight. So I don't know if you guys are going to consider cutting those streets back to where they're narrower. You know, that's an initial problem. Another thing is that taking and not enough parking for the park, is that you're going to take and put the load of the community, the parking on the community, which is the neighbors, whether they're citizens living there or whether they're businesses. So that's problems in there. The city continues staff calling it a restaurant. Ed himself said it's a tap house. They want people coming in there and spending time in there, not just coming in. A restaurant is where you come in, you get served, and you leave right away. So you gotta quit calling it a restaurant, it's a bar. As far as the church is concerned, it's an oxymoron to have people that are going to a bar parking their cars in a church parking lot. There's trash out there, they're drinking out there, they're doing drugs, they're having sex in the parking lot.
We're running out of time. Do you have a question?
So at any rate, with all this said, as you're saying you're being conservative on your money, you're gonna spend $4.5 million on this, come to the taxpayers asking for more money on sales tax. And then my question is going down Lowell from 80th to 72nd, while you're in there, are you gonna go ahead and replace the water and the sewer lines so that you can repave that as a done deal?
Yeah, we've got some sewer line as part of that project too, and then it'll get repaved at the end of the project, because it'll tear the whole street up trying to put that big water line in there. So it's not the entire way with the sewer line, it's just in parts that it's needed, but it's a combined project, so yes.
Okay, thanks.
One last question.
Is there any discussion about revitalization of that commercial hub on Federal and 72nd, perhaps I don't even know if this is possible, incentivize a grocery store to choose that area?
Okay, that's me again. So we actually, I met with a prospect today. Spoiler alert, I don't know if it'll come to fruition or not, but we are always actively working to get a grocer to backfill that space, the old Walmart. We know it's a big concern. Grocery stores are their own animal. They have distribution to consider, they have rooftops to consider. It's not just, I think I don't always like speaking for our elected body, but I feel pretty confident that if we can get somebody, we will definitely provide an incentive package to make sure that they could be healthy and make sure they have what they need to be there. But we are, I would say over the last 5 years, I've probably worked with at least 7 different prospective groceries. For one way or the other, a lot of it again is having the distribution and that they need to get there, all of their suppliers. But we are actively working with it. I worked with one today, so let's put out some good vibes.
And what I can add to that is it's a great question. And so as hard as our economic development team works, what many prospects really watch for is city vision and city investment. And so when those grocer prospects come and visit us, they're looking for these slides. And this is what's going to be different. It won't happen overnight because they're slow to invest. They're going to be very cautious. They're going to make sure that the city is following its words with actions, just like our community does. And so we'll be very optimistic that these investments will continue to earn return on investment for the neighborhood, because people will watch Ed's investment, they're going to watch our investments, and they're going to watch the businesses, and they're going to say, that's where we now want to put our investment. It just happened here right across from City Hall. Trader Joe's is opening up in a few weeks here in Westminster, and they're infamous for how rigorous they are with which community they're going to enter. We've been talking to Trader Joe's for probably 8 years. And now they're here. And so Stephanie and her team, that's what they do. So I can just tell you that they will follow our investment in this neighborhood.
And let me just share, I hear people say, and they email me, well, you're spending this on the bark, why don't you put it for what we have going? We have a lot of things going. That building is ours. We either invest in it because we are bad landowners, and we have been, but we didn't know what was going in there. It would be like me when the kids left the house and we had an extra room, and we just go and remodel it. Well, then 2 years later, I open my own business and go, well, this doesn't fit anything, and I have to go redo it. That's what we were up against, and so I don't apologize for that. We just didn't have what was going in there. We had COVID in between. We had people say they were coming and then not go. So for that money, if we tore down that building, it still would cost money. It's not free money. It's money that has to be spent one way or the other. We're tearing down a school in my neighborhood that's costing how much money to tear down? A few million. And because a school district that has plenty in their bond issue that we are paying as taxpayer dollars in Jeffco, didn't choose to put the money that they had that we're paying in taxes into that school. So it would have cost us $8 million to just get it up and running. So that's the reason I care about accountability, and why I tell you your 2A money is going exactly for what it is. And I don't know what it's going to be called this year until we put it on a ballot, if we do, but whatever the ballot issue is for this year, it will too be watched and put like it's supposed to be, so that when Jody, me, anyone else up here isn't here, it has gone through the process that people know they still have to take it for what it was voted on for. It will not just be put into the general budget to disappear.
And Mayor, we've hit time.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, so.
We'll stick around if you have other questions that you didn't get to ask. Just come on up. We thank you for being here. We'll see you next Thursday, 5 to 8.